Yo, yo, my sovereigns, what up? This is Boba Fett, uncensored on the internet, with episode 118 of Splinterlands 101. I actually got it wrong last week. I said episode 116 when it was actually 117, if anyone actually noticed. But there you go. Joining us tonight, finest gentlemen who have lived, Matt Clark.
Howdy.
And the man behind the Pousse account, Geotrix, will be joining us shortly. He's just being held up with some life stuff. And we're very excited to introduce on the show tonight. We guess you may have seen him recently because I know a lot of people who watch this show also listen to the People's Podcast with I always say Bojangles, but Bjangles, but it's always going to be Bojangles. So we have Games on the Block with us tonight, and we're going to find out a little bit about his background, where he came from, what he's doing, and we'll end up where we usually end up on the show, which is completely unplanned. So GB, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the thing we love about this is the community. A lot of people recognize names or icons, or you see the same people coming up in your battle history, but who is this person? And that's what we like to focus on, the behind the avatar episodes is, who is this person? Who are they? Initially, tell us about Splinterlands, but also a little bit about you. And, we find it, despite having had a very diverse collection of people on the show from Splinterlands, there's always some common threads run through people, whether it was like opportunity seeking. There's always a common thread that runs through active people in this game on the blockchain. So it'd be interesting to see what we find out. So what would you like to open up with, GB? Like, where did you come from initially? Did you come from card trading? This was your intro to crypto. Did you come from crypto? This is your intro to TCG. How did you arrive here?
No, so I definitely played card games, starting with Pokemon and then Magic the Gathering, and that's when I was like really young. I don't know. I want to say Pokemon started, I don't know, 6, 7, and eventually I did play Hearthstone like many people as well. But I have I play like every type of game ever. Like I'm really like fascinated by games. And again, like from sports to RPGs, like you name it, I probably played it. And I came to Splinterlands just by looking. It was no accident. I mean, I knew about crypto before. I first knew about crypto, I think, I want to say 2012, but I could be wrong. Like I was just like mining. It was that was before ASIC, so I was mining Bitcoin and Litecoin. I didn't fully understand. Again, I had a very different vision about money. To be honest, I didn't really care about money. I was more into like I like technology and stuff. So I think it was my cousin that came to me and said, "Have you checked like this like Bitcoin thing where you can like use your computer to mine? Yeah, you have a GPU to play games, right? Like maybe you can try to mine something here." Uh, yeah, so I was mining Bitcoin, I was mining Litecoin. To be honest, I don't even know how much I mined back in the day, but like those keys are gone. Like, so I don't know how much money is like lost somewhere in some old laptop. Um, but yeah, and then when I found Splinterlands, then yeah, I was already familiar with crypto. I was already playing a bunch of other crypto games. Splinterlands was just one of them. Yeah.
So what happened? Did you upgrade your laptop and just throw the old one away because Bitcoin didn't have a perceived value at the time, or it was just an afterthought? It's like, oh, my keys were on there.
No. Okay. I think it's more like we were, because like I'm from Brazil, right? And in Brazil, there is a very very heavy tax on everything. I want to say, but in electronics import, if I'm not mistaken, was I mean probably still is like 100%. So we were thinking like, okay, like are we gonna do this mining thing? If we do, we need to get like more and more GPUs. Then we had like some quick spreadsheet to say like, okay, like is it worth it for us to drive to Paraguay? That's normally like where people buy their
Yeah, I have a lot of students from Brazil,
electronics.
and they all tell me the same thing. You want electronics? We go to Paraguay. Yeah,
Yeah. So no, yeah, like but from Brasilia it's not that close to drive. Like it's a long drive. Like so again, like do this long drive, like and to justify that, you need to buy like a bunch of GPUs in bulk, right? Like to and then we did this math. It was like I don't know, man. Like kind of it seems like yeah the price needs to go up a lot to justify I think the trouble, so we didn't do. I think I mine a little bit more Litecoin just because it was easier at the time, especially because I was only mining on my computer and a laptop that I had. But yeah, after that I don't think I told you I didn't fully understand the beauty of crypto. I was kind of like, ah, it's just some gimmick here that you can mine and make some money. But again, I didn't have the concept about like even what money is, right? So I just ignored it. Like yeah, as you said, like yeah, eventually like I replaced my computer. I moved to Thailand. I didn't bring that, so yeah, so that was it. It was just lost there, and then I kind of started touching crypto again in 2017 when I was here in Thailand. I was kind of like running out of money, and then I met some guy, and then he was working for a crypto market maker, and no, I was just talking to him, and he's like, yeah, eventually he's found, oh, you can code, right? You can program. Do you know about crypto? I was like, yeah, I know about crypto mining before. He's like, okay, I got a job for you. I'm trying to hire people. It is so difficult, like to hire like uh yeah people that have the development background and know about crypto. He's like, I don't care. I'll teach you the details, but yeah, like let's do some tests here. And yeah, I got hired, and then that's where I kind of went back into crypto. Yeah.
and what was the catalyst from moving from Brazil all the way across the Pacific Ocean to Thailand?
It was not like one thing in particular. It was, I mean, the trigger, the actual catalyst is because I was living in a fraternity that kind of got dissolved as people were like graduating and then had to move. So I don't like in the renting process there in Brazil. It's definitely really takes a long time. Let's say like you need to have this people like the guarantee that you're gonna pay. You need to do all this paperwork, go on a bunch of notaries. And at the time, so I moved back with my parents, right, and they're trying to find a new place to rent. I was like, oh, this is so complex. I was like my brother had lived for a while in Costa Rica, and my cousin had lived in a while in Czech Republic. So I had these people to talk to that had lived in like outside the country. No, I think they only lived for like 6 months, but it's still I was like, okay, like I don't need to necessarily like rent here in Brazil, right? So I was just searching other places, and yeah, I found I what I think the main guy, there was some guy called like Johnny FD. Yeah, that he was kind of like starting like this digital nomad YouTuber thing, and then he had like a bunch of videos like he living like yeah in Thailand, in Vietnam, and he's showing like his room, like I don't know, he's paying like I don't know $150 for the whole month, and the process, which was the point is like didn't even have a process, right? It was basically like his you go to a building and say, hey, I want to live here, and they're like, yeah, fine, give me 2 months deposit and suit yourself. And I was like, okay, like this is great. So I think in Brazil the whole process is gonna take 1 month. I was like, okay, and I just looking everything around that. I was like, okay, I think I can try to, uh, to just move to another country. Like at least I should check it out. I can always come back. I mean, to be honest, it's not even that easy to come back because the plane ticket alone, like proportionally to my monthly expenses, right? Like let's say I was living with less than $300 per month, and like one plane ticket back to Brazil is like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times that. So uh, at that point, it's almost like you can stay there for another 4 months and figure it out.
Hmm.
So yeah, actually I didn't even go back to Brazil in 9 years now.
Yeah, it's a similar situation here in Mexico, in that I've basically been preparing for it. I spent all my money getting here, um, so I don't have money for an airfare back to Australia. So it's like, yep, finished. It's a good sort of, it's not an option, because sometimes if you have an option or a fallback position, you can be lazy or not embrace opportunity to the fullest. So returning to Australia isn't even an option for me. So there is only forward, and that's exciting, and embracing the digital nomad lifestyle. I've been watching a few YouTubes on videos as well on the subject of digital nomad to get some ideas. It's certainly an interesting concept, and if you can work remotely, just the initial paradigm shift of, well, I don't actually have to be here, wherever here is. I don't have to be here, and that just opens up, like your mind just starts thinking differently after that point in time.
A lot of people just assume that where they are now is where they are. Like they don't even, they're waiting for some sort of big prompt to push them to somewhere else. Like in the movies too, well, I was offered a job in Paris. It's not like I was sitting there one day and decided that maybe here wasn't for me, but it's that mindset, and I almost think it's deliberately calculated. It's that mindset where in the movies and in the TV, opportunities just arrive overseas, and that's how I'll travel overseas. Is when the Mary Donaldson, the Tasmanian girl. Oh, when a Danish prince just comes and visits and sweeps me off my feet, then I'll move to Denmark, instead of sitting back and saying, "Hang on, I could just do this, right? I don't need an invitation with embossing and I'm thinking of King Ralph, which is really aging myself, but
I've seen that.
the whole royal family gets wiped out, and it turns out he's a distant third cousin or something, and so he's in charge of, I don't know if he's the King of England or something, but that whole, you got the embossed invitation, we request your attendance, and it's not like that, right? It's just, okay, I need to broaden my thinking, and if over here is going to be better. I'm a little bit envious, GB. In Australia, I grew up playing a lot of video games too, and Street Fighter 2 was a big one. And when you said that you flew from Brazil to Thailand, I pictured that on the Street Fighter 2 map, because there's the fighter Blanca in Brazil, and there's another one, Sagat, in Thailand. And so I've never had the privilege of doing any of those routes on the Street Fighter 2 map. So I'm quite envious of you for that experience.
Man, it's a long route. I think it took a good like 2 days, just flying, right? Because I saw Brasilia, Rio, and then London. I want to say, and then Bangkok. Yeah. So yeah, with times in between, right? Because you can go the other way as well. I think you can go through US, like let's say LA, Bangkok, but normally to go to US you need a visa. Just for that, at least Brazilians do. So yeah, it was, I don't know, and the ticket prices, right? So I just went to one. But anyway, very long flight. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's cool to. I personally, I'm not a big fan of like traveling around, which is gonna sound ironic, right? Because that's what I was doing. But yeah, I kind of like it. It's almost like I was like traveling slowly, right? Like I'll go one place, stay there for a month, go another place, stay there for a month. Maybe similar to what Boba Fett is doing now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still haven't recovered fully from the 12 hours on an airplane from Melbourne to Santiago, Chile. Like even now, still, if I sit for more than 2 hours, my butt starts getting sore, and I've got like left cheek, right cheek, sort of. But 12 hours on an airplane, it's not fun.
Yeah,
It's
it's not.
not fun. Yeah. And that was just one flight to Chile. Then I went up to Lima, Peru, Cusco, where I stayed for a month, Colombia, and then to Mexico. And they're all like 4.5, 5 hour flights. But yeah, just that 12 hours across. And then also, the 6 hour bus ride from Bogota to Libano with broken seats, like, and any cushioning that the seats on this bus had of years and years just deteriorated to nothing. So yeah, I can't sit for much longer than 2 hours without having to like stand up for 5 minutes. It wrecks you. It absolutely wrecks you. Yeah.
But and also something that you guys mentioned before about like you're not being stuck in this country. I think it's important for people if anyone want to try that. It, it's a lot easier than it looks. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like before people coming, like I even had like some friends that like were kind of they're thinking of like coming with me as well. But there is always gonna have some excuse, right? They're gonna say, but then it's in the other side of the planet. It's like, okay, so what? Like you have the internet to talk to people, right? Like, but yeah, it's another language. Okay, fine. Like again, you don't even need to learn the language, or you can learn the language. They only have spicy food there, which is not true. And even if it is, like, okay, spicy food is great. Lunch it's an acquired taste. Like, just learn how to. Actually, that was kind of just a quick funny story. Like, yeah, well, in the beginning, I was like, okay, I know the food here is spicy. We don't eat spicy at all in Brazil. Uh, just gonna learn how to eat that, and then yeah, I was just like picking random foods in the restaurant, and sometimes like really like crazy spicy, and I'm like, okay, I'll eat like everything until the plate is over, right? Like I don't care of the consequences, and it was true. Like I was like crying and like water coming down my nose and my lips like super red. I had like bad like stomach aches after, but like I don't know. After a while, I don't know, not even that long, like maybe a week or two, and then it's like okay, now I can eat like really spicy food and it tastes great.
Yeah. 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 You just got to push through. Just got to push
Yeah,
through. But you're right about like, when people have excuses, that's all they have. And it reaches a point you realize that, you could offer a solution for every single one, but it's never going to happen because there's an infinite queue of
yeah.
excuses to come. You either want to or you don't. Yeah. Gio, welcome.
How are we, gentlemen?
Good. Is that a
Good.
dare that you're drinking?
Yeah, it's just a mocker though.
I miss the
I
dare
bet you
double
missed those.
espresso. I do. I do. Yeah.
Oh well, it's a give and take. It's a give and take sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, what do you miss the most from Brazil, GV?
Oh, there's so many things. Okay, food wise, I miss like beef and cheese. Uh, I mean, I miss. Man, Brazil is a really good country. Like in every way, I'm gonna say. Like, I think the people, they're really fun as well. The the nature is like amazing. I'm gonna say, I think like Brazil is like one of the best countries to visit. I'm gonna say, right? Like the beaches are like phenomenal. Uh, there is no problem, like no earthquake, no hurricane, no
Mm.
anything. So in a way, it's almost a shame, right? Like I almost feel like Brazil could be like the best country in the world by far, and and it's not even close. So, but yeah, I think to visit there is really great. One thing that I don't miss though is I think the lack of safety. I only realized, like, I think how big of a hit that do how to say, like, how big of a weight that it's on you when I moved here in Thailand, right? So, like, for example, in Brazil, you cannot, you always need to be aware, right? Like, if you leave your backpack laying around for like a second, it might be
Yeah.
gone. But here, you can completely relax, right? Like, you don't need to look over your
Have your
shoulder. You
guard
can,
down.
yeah, you can have your guard down all the time. You can walk around at night anywhere. It's completely fine, right? And in Brazil, it's almost like, oh man, like this street is looking shady, but I need to get there like fast. Like my bus is almost leaving. It's already like, I don't know, like 1 a.m. But yeah, here it's like, yeah, whatever. It's completely fine, and it's almost like, I don't know, there's like 10% of your brain, right, always like operating, checking your surroundings, and then here you kind of have this like 10% of your brain back. That's priceless.
That's a good way. That's a really good analogy. Good way
Yeah,
to put
I've
it.
never heard
Yeah,
it like that.
yeah.
You
Because
have like the
yeah,
antivirus up, always scanning in the background, right? Using up
Yeah, exactly.
processing.
Yeah, it's clogging your CPU, man. Yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah. Never thought like that, but it's so accurate.
Mm,
It's so spot on. Yeah.
mm.
yeah. Maybe do you feel like that in Mexico?
This like I've been moving around, like exploring Guadalajara, and certainly there's one area where, like right in Centro downtown, everyone said, like, don't don't go walking around like midnight type thing in this part of town. But the number of times that I did walk down to 7-Eleven to grab something, or it's hot inside, just it's nice and cool outside. Um, I never saw anything, never witnessed anything, never had
Yeah.
any sort of bad experience. Not saying it doesn't happen, but I've always been, I guess, a little bit street smart. Like, I'm not going to walk around at 2 o'clock in the morning with a $2,000 camera around my neck or anything like that. But just, you just be aware, know what's going on around you. And yeah, if you get a really, really bad vibe about a certain street, take the next street. Yeah, I think just, I mean, there's places in Melbourne, like we've talked about, there's train stations in Melbourne. You don't
Oh,
get off after dark.
you
You
just
get off
don't
at the
want to.
one before, or you get off at the one after, and you catch an Uber. But you don't get off at some train station. So you're going to have this anywhere,
Yeah.
really. I think it's just like, minimizing risk just through awareness.
So,
But that's my
GB,
point. Sorry.
do you think you'll stay in Thailand then indefinitely? Like, is this the plan now to be here for the longer term? Do you think?
Okay, so I mean, I still really love Thailand. I think it's probably the best country to be in. I do have a wife and a son here, which now it's a lot harder to keep moving as well. And but I'm not gonna lie, I feel I can see a bit of a decline. But I don't feel it's a Thailand problem. It almost feels like it's more like global. I'm gonna say, right? I mean, I think we're already like down that path a little bit, but maybe the pandemic like was like a huge catalyst and then just sped up the whole process. So that's I don't even know, like I was looking because I still want to have at least like a plan B, right? Like, again, what if there's some problem with Thailand, right? Like which I'm kind of having, like, because now here in Chiang Mai, in the beginning of the year is terrible. Like the weather is absolutely terrible because like everywhere around here, like inside Thailand, but also in Laos and Myanmar, they burn all the plantations or something, and then the smoke is insane. Like you just living inside the smoke for like three months. So and I could see, like, because I've been living here for a while, I could see like it's getting worse every single year. Like every single year, the burn gets worse. The visa situation, it keeps getting harder. Like, I'll talk about like safety as well. Like you see, like before, back in the day, we'll never have any issue. But like, for example, this year, like had some guy like jumping over the house fences here in my the community that I live. And again, this was basically like unheard of before. Like it would never happen. But again, like I don't know the economic situation. Yeah, I don't. But again, like where to go? You're gonna. I was looking around here, so there is also like Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, but they all have like some issue as well. I don't think there is like Thailand 10 years ago. Like I don't think that place exists anymore. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely resonate to that. And you know, we learned during the pandemic as well how quickly change can happen. A lot of what happened, people have been talking about it for making videos about it 10, 15 years. So like, what actually happened was not like a huge shock or surprise, but what was, first of all, was how quickly it happened, and secondly, how complacent a lot of people actually were with the measures being taken. And where we are headed globally, um, there is no safe haven. Like so, like Thailand 10 years ago, and you know, in other regions like here in Mexico, like one of my favorite places is actually Cusco in Peru. But to live there, you know, and a lot of the Latin American countries, especially around Peru, Bolivia, Colombia, all it takes is a military coup, and everything changes instantly. Um, so at least in Mexico, there's very little chance of that happening. And you know, in that Southeast Asia region, because I've traveled through Southeast Asia, I've been to Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, Hong Kong, that area, again, like it's possible, but you can't plan a future on what might happen because it goes back to, like saying with your friends, you know, there's a whole lot of excuses. Um, Something's definitely going down, but I don't think where you are at the time is going to be like, phew, I'm glad I was here. I don't think that that place is going to exist. You're going to have to make the most of what you've got. And I think community is going to play a huge part of that. And you know, in Australia, the only communities that exist are ethnic communities. You know, when people migrate to another country, they have that understanding of it's difficult to fit in. I can't get a job. My English isn't that good. Or so the communities stick together. Whereas your average sort of, you know, middle class white Australian, there's no Australia club that you go to on a Wednesday night to play cards. There's none of that sense of community, and the parasitic expansion of our style of government through welfare has also killed the family situation. So there's no strong family ties, there's no strong community ties. At the end of the day, all you're going to have is what you've made yourself. And for that, it doesn't matter where you are. You just have to make your own community where you are. Or, you know, I don't think there's going to be a safe place when stuff, you know, maybe even the next few years when stuff starts to happen.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, that was basically what brought me out of the shadows, I was gonna say, because as I think you put like perfectly, like I think there's no more place left to flee to, and community is the answer as well. And that's my point. I think like okay, and Web3, like blockchain games, like that's all, man. Like games is like the perfect location for a community to happen. Like so, and it's global. You see, like it transcends these like countries that we have. Like oh, but all these countries are going down. It's all these laws that they're gonna start taxing meat, whatever. Like it's okay, let's go to the virtual world. Like let's hang out there. Let's make things happen there. Like I feel like that is kind of like the future where we're heading to.
Yeah. And I've noticed it before during peak global issues. Like one game that I play, the Guild or Society as it's called in game, right when the whole Russia-Ukrainian like situation became, the news started piling on. We had a Ukrainian guy and a Russian guy in the guild, and they get along fine. Like there's no Russia versus Ukraine in the game type thing. It's just, this country's government versus that country's government. That's the only reason we have governments, is to protect us from the other governments. People get along fine. And so, yeah, I wholly get that. Online community is a huge part of that as well. And just getting perspective. You watch the news, or not that I do, but watch the news, check your feed, and you're always going to get an agenda or a story. But when you're part of a community, and even with my tutoring, I speak to students across Europe, Southeast Asia, Brazil as well. I have some Brazilian students, and you're talking to them about their day-to-day daily life, and they're not telling it as a news story. They're telling it matter-of-factly. So, anthropologically, that's an incredible situation, and that can only grow through online community as well.
We've got to be careful not to be over-reliant on, like, for emotional, I guess, support for our sense of community from the online thing, because the internet can go down, right, very easily. And I'm just thinking, I couldn't even send you a postcard if the internet went down, because you're some guy I know called Bob who's in Mexico.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. If I don't have your Discord, I got nothing. You can't find me. We'll never see each other again if the internet goes down. Like, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And so, yes, it's good. It's really handy, these online communities that get us out. It's an escape. But also, we've got to keep in mind that your next door neighbor is going to be your next door neighbor after an EMP.
Yep. Yeah. But it's a good introductory sense, whereas, people, they don't know their next door neighbors anymore, not even by first name. Whereas when I was a kid, my parents knew everyone in the street. They knew the parents of all the kids that I used to play with. But yeah, now people don't know the first name of their next door neighbor. So at least this is a sense of community that you can learn to adapt into the outside world as well. Alrighty, so yeah, we just had the Zoom cutoff point, the 10-minute break in the middle. Matt's fridge has arrived, so Matt's off bench pressing his new fridge, and he will be back with us as soon as he's found a home for the fridge, got rid of the old one. So yeah, Gio, you came in a little bit late today, you had some stuff on, never got to ask you at the beginning what's new, so what's new?
Not a crazy amount, just the normal family stuff, and well, in game I've been buying up some cards from the Chaos Legion set, some Rift Watchers, because that is so dirt cheap compared to what it was previously.
You buying cards or packs?
Actual cards. So I've actually shifted from like buying a pack or two, and I've just focused on cards instead. Because it makes more sense when cards are down, like, to the levels that they're at.
You have all the Rift Watcher summoners maxed though, don't you?
No, not all the Rift Watcher ones. No. I thought I had all the Chaos Legion set max, but there's one more card. The Chaos of Magi of Chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually, I actually don't have that card at all.
At all?
But no, I don't. It's on the other accounts, but it's not maxed at all. So I think I'm just gonna leave it with a 99% complete Chaos Legion set. For the core set. I upgraded Wave Brood, which was like pretty cheap. Narissa Tridorn maxed out. And the last card was the Dax Paragon. What his name is? Dax?
Yeah, Dax, yeah.
Yeah, Dax Paragon. That was the last card that I got. And yeah, just upgrading the Rift Watchers cards to the next ability. So like moving up a level 2 just to get that last ability, which that's it really. How about you? What have you guys been doing in game?
My Magi of Chaos is only level 3 actually. I just had a look at when you were talking about him.
Magi of Chaos.
Yeah. How about yourself? How's your card collection coming along? Have you been taking advantage of the cheap Chaos Legion packs or leveling cards? I've been focusing on summoners like the last couple of weeks. Last week I did Immortalis, the week before that was Lily. because I've deliberately kept them at gold level because that's where I was playing, and that was all I needed. But now you automatically advance, and you can use your cards to their max abilities. I had a lot of cards in Chaos Legion that were maxed where I didn't have maxed summoners. So I've been focusing on Chaos Legion summoners. What about yourself, GB?
I don't really have a deck anymore. I had back in the day when I was playing, like I had a lot more cards. I was especially gold foils. I like the gold foils one, but yeah, I had a bunch of the I think Untamed and Dice summoners. But yeah, it was kind of like during the boom. I don't know if I made money or lost money. I probably stayed like somewhat zero. I remember like buying Oceanas for like $30. I remember selling Wave Smiths at $7 or $9 as well. So, but like,
Insane.
yeah, so I was kind of after after a while, I kind of like I just kind of sold my whole collection. I still have a few, I don't know, probably like $100 worth of cards, but normally now I rent.
Yep.
And I mean, especially now because I made the one click rental, and I try to kind of like use my own product, right? So I'm crafting the deck so people can use. So like again, my goal is to have like the cheapest possible deck that can get people into gold, right? So I personally find it a bit fun to keep choosing the cards, right? And it keeps shifting because it depends on the meta, depends on the market. uh because for example right now, even Chaos Legion cards, sometimes like some max level cards, like they don't have it available. So I cannot just use that deck all the time, because like let's say I'm gonna go rent and then, oh, this card is not available. So I try to choose like a break point. So let's say, this card gets like, I don't know, Rust at level 7, right? So okay, like just get like a level 7 instead of level 10. So, but yeah, now I'm mostly renting, and also it's more dynamic again. Like if I want to play like the higher leagues, I can. But to be honest, I kind of stay around like, yeah, silver, gold. I just find the cost benefit, like that's kind of like the best one, because like sure you can make like, let's say like $20 per day playing high leagues, but then you spend like $18 renting out. It's basically the same as just rent for 50 cents and make 250 cents. You kind of have the same benefit, and it's more chill. Normally I play. I'm listening to some podcasts. I'm doing something. I'm playing. It's kind of like almost on autopilot. Like I don't really put that much thought in the gameplay anymore. Maybe that sounds bad, but yeah, it is how it is. Like,
It's
yeah.
great.
So what's the reward cost ratio like at the moment with renting? This, like for example, the last glint nerf, I lost 100,000 glint out of my end of season stash. So you've got to look at how much you're going to get now at the end of season versus how much you're spending. Because I own my whole deck, I don't rent at all.
Yeah.
And my SPS is I mean, like my silver account at the end of season is playing in diamond. My gold account at the end of season is playing in champion. So my multiplier is right down low. My silver account playing in diamond has a multiplier of 1.2. So yeah, it's you got to look at options, and that's why it's always great talking to other people, because everyone that you talk to is going to have a thought or an opinion that you not only you didn't have yourself, but you would never have had yourself because of differing circumstances. So yeah, how's it going? How's it working for you at the moment with renting?
Yeah. So I mean, I have I mean, the spreadsheet is a bit outdated, but I do have a spreadsheet that right now doesn't account for glint, and and now chests were removed. So again, it was a bit of the, but the idea is still like I have this spreadsheet where it kind of like shows exactly like the reward, like the best place to be, let's say, in theory.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like super accurate, because I think it's almost impossible to be, because it definitely depends on a bunch of variables that is, again, slightly out of your control, or that keeps changing. So for example, your win rate is going to dictate how much SPS you have, right? Especially now with the changes, right? Because now there is, I think, some rate inflation, so people get a little bit higher than they were before, and now you actually need more SPS that you didn't account for. Now your multiplier is lower. But and like renting cards, it's kind of easy, but renting SPS, I found it to be quite annoying. So I still have my SPS. I don't know how much right now. Like, I don't know, probably almost 60K, which is enough to get the 12 multiplier in silver, right? Because yeah, that's kind of like what, like you were saying, playing with one multiplier like that should be a no-go. Like, if that's what you're
Yeah.
doing, it's almost like a no-brainer. Just rent SPS. Yeah, it's annoying, but it's basically free money. Like, but yeah, but the reward is at least in silver is something like what I was saying. Like, normally I spend, I think, 400 DC to rent per day, and I don't know, might make around like $2 per day.
It's
So
pretty good.
percent wise, I think that's awesome. Like, there's like 300% profit. But if you look at the the money per hour, then
Yeah.
that's kind of garbage, right? Because yeah,
Yeah.
you play like, I don't know, 25 minutes. Again, about energy costs also dictates how much you're gonna play, because and actually this depends on your league as well, because like, yeah, in some leagues it makes sense to buy energy, in some don't. It's kind of convoluted, but yeah, I think the ratios are around there. Really good percentage wise, terrible
Actual value
time
return.
wise. Yes. Like, yeah, if I could just find a job flipping burgers, that would be a lot
Yeah.
better. But
Yeah.
But when you're working on that ratio, you've got to look at the current market value as well. Um, so whereas if you're just looking at what you're holding, understanding that this could be 10x, 20x, something down the track, then your hourly rate is going to be a lot more attractive than it currently is to you. So it's that switch as well. Like, am I measuring my account in US dollars, or am I measuring my account in SPS or DEC?
yeah, but
How,
I don't like thinking like that, because in the same, so for example, you can say, okay, like, I'm making only $2, but yeah, if SPS 10x, then technically I would be making $20, right? But if I was flipping burgers and making $10 per hour and using this $10 to buy SPS, then I would be way better off. So that's
Yeah.
I think you need to do this comparison, instead of just saying like, oh yeah, SPS is gonna move. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's a fair point, actually.
and
Yeah.
how do you support yourself in Thailand? If we went to Bangkok, are we going to find you at the local McDonald's flipping burgers, or like, what do you do?
No, no, I don't. No, so I mean, I cannot even work here like locally. And actually, so that closes a few doors. I mean, not so many, to be honest, because like the salary for working here locally, it is quite low. So I did make a good savings from when I was working at the crypto market making company there. I was a developer there. But right now I'm not really doing much, right? Like, I did. So while the crypto game was booming, also I kind of did well, but and then everything went down. I mean, I think I did spread like really, really well, but again, 100% crashed, went down crazy. So I still got like really screwed
Yeah.
there. So right now I'm kind of, again, my savings are running really low, but I don't know. I don't really want to find another job. I really want to make like this crypto thing works, like these games on the block. So I'm making like games and tools. Like I am an official, like, I don't know, Splinterlands market, But to be honest, like with the game, with the player base like it is, it doesn't pay much. It definitely is not even close to paying for the bills. So, but we'll see. I have a bunch of things cooking, but yeah, if they fail, then I'll probably need to find another dev job.
Cross that bridge when you have to, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
no. I was assuming like
Yeah.
there's no fail. Like say like burn the
Yeah.
bridges. Like like that's it. It's gonna work. But
Yeah.
man, it's hard. I'm not gonna lie. I found when I was showing my game like to non-crypto people, as soon as I mentioned crypto, everybody like the stigma kicks in, and there's like, oh, it's a scam, it's garbage. I mean, I don't blame them, but
Yeah, true.
and it's kind of, man, I'm this is exactly what happened. I showed exactly the same game, exactly the same paper, let's say, to non-crypto people and crypto people. So again, the no-crypto people say, "Oh, you talk about like crypto, and then and I showed to the crypto people, and they're like, "You just keep talking about gameplay and this like theory. How much money can I make? Where is my money?" I was like, "Man, it
Yeah.
cannot please
Both
both."
sides are annoying.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I'm kind of shifting now. Okay, I think I'll focus on crypto people. Like I'll get again, if the economy is sustainable, and again the mechanics is a bot proof, and I have a clear path to decentralization, I think that's kind of like the way to go. And then once all of that is working, once you have a great game, I think I can go to the normies, and they're not even gonna realize they're playing a crypto game, and eventually they're gonna like realize, oh, can I actually like cash out, or can I just transfer my cards to my friend? Like, whoa, what a novel idea, right? Like, because like again, we had this like 20 years ago, and we don't have that nowadays. So at least that's the idea.
I hear
Yeah.
you on that front. We need to make, or I think some games are trying to make the Web3 whole, like the Web3 space more accessible for the Web2 people. So even though the game can be used in a Web3 sort of way with the crypto, all that, all the blockchain stuff, they're sort of making a separate version of the game as well that's more Web2 based. So you can easily like put it on the apps. They don't require like any crypto knowledge or nothing. It's just like you playing a normal Web2 game. But if you wanted to take it further, there's extra steps there for anyone interested wanting to get into crypto.
And I
I
think
think that's
NFTs are a great
yeah,
gateway for that as well. Like if you're playing Candy Crush type thing, and that's where your head is at. But instead of paying
yeah,
a monthly fee or something, for the next level, you buy some NFTs that are going to help you
yeah.
play a better
I'm
game. So
actually at the point where I'd be quite happy for the mobile app to be completely Web 2 based with some Web 3 things if they want to take it further. But because it's not built, because we have to rebuild it from the ground up again. Not we, but whoever's working on it. It's easy for them to do that. But I think trying to change this core game we have now, into a Web 2 sort of like accessible for new players, I don't think it's going to work too well. I think we should focus on the mobile app
crypto
for
market,
yeah,
yeah,
for new people,
mobile.
yeah.
Hmm.
I mean,
Separate the two.
I see what you're saying. I have a slightly different idea,
Yeah, sure.
because I think the problem with that in particular is that if you make your Candy Crush game and put it on a mobile app, right?
Hmm.
That I'm assuming your core game, which is the Web3 version, is still like a Candy Crush game, right? Because I was like,
Yeah, it
people will be
is.
playing Candy Crush, and then they're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah, yeah,
switch to the real game, and it's completely different mechanics. Like, it doesn't make sense. But my point
yeah,
is like, you see, I don't think. I mean, I was talking this in some other videos that I released, but like, I think we are limited in the game mechanics that we can do for Web3. So
mm,
stuff like Candy Crush, a shooter, it doesn't work. Like, it's gonna get exploited, botted, cheated, you name it, right? Like, how
yeah,
can you make a shooter that is immune to, like, you can be the best player in the world. Like you playing against somebody with an aim hack, you're gonna
I
lose.
know
Like,
that
there's
all
no
too
way
well.
around it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I play games like, you know, PUBG and
yeah,
some Call of Duty, and there's hackers like, yeah, all
exactly.
everywhere.
So, but then that's my point. Like, now you have this problem that you need to solve, because like, okay, you need these easy mechanics that people, as I say, like Candy Crush or a shooter that everybody, there is like demand, people are gonna like it. But then when you go to the Ab3 part, what are you gonna do with the cheaters? Are you gonna ban them? Are you gonna ban their NFTs? And I mean, that's what, like, for
True.
example, Axie Infinity, that's what they were doing, right? Like, they were actually like banning the axes, like the IDs, right? And actually, this creates another problem. Like, people go to the market to buy the axes, because like that is decentralized, but like you cannot stop people from selling. But like these noobs come into the game and then they buy an axe that is banned.
That's
right, like
that's blacklisted.
Yeah. So that's my point. Like,
Yeah.
I think we're limited by the mechanics that we can do. So again, like, we cannot do a shooter because it's gonna be hacked. Like, so, and I'm not saying it's impossible. Again, like, there are a bunch of mechanics, a bunch of games that we can do it. But like, again, we need to be designing these good games from the ground up with that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think Splinterlands does a good job at that. I think the foundation for Splinterlands is really good to prevent bots. Like, the whole idea is to have like every battle be unique. I think that's mainly it. I'm not a big fan of. I don't think the implementation is perfect, and that's why we still have bots.
Yeah.
But it's like a million times better than Candy Crush or a shooter.
Yeah. Well, to get people on board, I think this style of game, the auto stuff that we have on, like, you know, the way the fights play out, are best for mobile games. We have probably the most accessible card game for
great.
a mobile app ever. Like, it's as easy as it can get. Like, it's great. It's just now we just need to focus on those things you mentioned, you know, really take into account how to streamline it.
The whole botting thing, I think, is really interesting. If you look at, there's been suggestions. We'll paying people to stream on Twitch, right? Because then you know they're playing. Or in-person tournaments need to be really richly, organized, satellite tournaments and all that in-person stuff. But then you think that there's that cheating scandal in chess recently where people said that he had a vibrating butt plug telling him moves. At some point, you've got to accept the fact that people can be getting inputs, no matter how much you try to control the meat space. There's always that element. So I think what Matt said from the start is it's almost like accepting the limitations of reality to not fight this and just say, okay, how do we make the game so interesting and complex for human users, but also make it very, very difficult to automate that? And I think that's probably a better direction to go than trying to stomp out rewards unless there's somebody physically in the same room as Yabba who's blindfolded and not getting the instructions from the inside rim of their sunglasses.
And had a colonoscopy before, right?
Yep, no butt plug cleared.
Yeah.
Move on.
So one thing you mentioned earlier, GB, is your role in developing. Screen share is active, by the way, in case you're wondering. Is there something that you would like to promote or share in what you're doing yourself?
I mean, I can, but I didn't have anything set up. Like, the server is not even running. I don't think I can set
We can do that in another episode then, if you like.
Yeah.
If you want to promote your wares and pimp your shit,
but I mean, if you wanna check like the white paper, it's on. If you go to gamesontheblock.com, like the first page, you have the roadmap there, and have like two games. One is called Unbound, the other is called Oko. I think the more interesting one is the Oko for everyone listening, because it's a lot closer to Splinterlands, and it does add all of these ideas. So again, the whole mechanics are designed with this, assuming that it's impossible to catch cheaters, like the bots are inevitable. Like, the whole mechanics is assuming that it's again, I'm not. I'm gonna say it's impossible to cheat, but I'm probably gonna eat my words. Uh, but again, at least that's the idea, and yeah, and also as I think it's is stream friendly as well. That's something that I'm doing from the start, because I mean, even Splinterlands. So, for example, you cannot really stream yourself playing, because like people watching the stream is gonna know exactly the team that you're submitting, right?
True.
So, or if you look at, I don't know, like League of Legends players, or I don't know, like Battle Royale players, like they also like try to cover some parts of their screen, like to make it at least a bit harder for people to know where they're at and the kind of stuff. But I think streaming is such a cool and important part of the game. I really want to, similar to chess, where like chess, everyone can see it's the whole game is out there. Like you can see, but you see, but it's tricky. Like, okay, how can you make a game that everything's out in the open, but then it's also hard to bot and cheat? It's not that easy. Again, I think I found a solution. I have a working demo. So if you go in the white paper there, like I'm playing against the Moor in. I mean, it's still a prototype. The game looks a bit better now, but the reason it's not out yet is I'm using a game engine called Godot. I don't know if you guys ever heard about it. Normally,
Is that an
people.
open source one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's deliberately like why.
Mhm.
Yeah, why I chose that deliberately, because
Mm.
the whole point, I want the game to be open source. Like people, if they want to change anything, if they don't like the direct, okay, they can fork it, whatever. And that's down to the engine, right? Like, because
Mhm.
the Unreal Engine and in Unity, even like Unity had a scandal recently where
Yeah.
they're like charging people per install, which is kind of like insane.
Yeah.
Uh,
They
so I think,
backpedaled pretty quick though.
But
yeah, but
it shows their true intentions. And anyone looking
yes,
at that, we're like, if they did it once, they're probably going to do it again sometime in the future where it might work. You know,
yeah.
so
So
they're not to
I
be
think,
trusted.
yeah. So my point is like, it shouldn't even be an option on the table.
Yeah.
To like, my point is like, if somebody wants to fork the game, they should be able like to, okay, clone the repo, clone the database. Okay, done, good to go. You don't need to worry. But what if the users on the Unity, whatever? Like,
Yeah.
it's not a problem. The only issue is because like Godot is kind of new, at least this version now, so they don't really export to web properly. And so I cannot put, even though I have the game, right, like people will need to download the game. And also, again, because it's small, it's gonna have like, first you like installing stuff on your Windows machine, and then it comes like this pop-up saying like, yo, this is not a trusted developer.
Yeah.
My point is like, in crypto, like no one is gonna install like a game from a random dude, especially if you have like these big black warnings, right? And to be honest, they shouldn't. I don't think they shouldn't install that. It's for their own good. Because like when you have the gameplay on the browser, you still have the browser virtualization kind of like protecting you a bit. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm kind of waiting to be able to export to the web. But I mean, the game is in a playable state, but yeah, it's kind of like paused right now, and that's why I'm
I'll
focused
try it
more
out.
on the website. All right,
Even
great.
if I have to, even if I have to do a program thing, because I've already done that with some other dude from Blitz. Because it's not on the web browser yet. It's it's in like a executable. So
Yeah.
yeah, it just
All
has.
right.
Sometimes that's just how it is.
Awesome too. Yeah, I mean, you can do, for example, you could run that on a virtual machine if you know what you're doing. I mean, or you
True.
can, for example, I can make
True.
give you the whole repo. You can compile the game yourself, right? You can, it's open source. You can see what is going on. But yeah, and actually that's something. Man, I don't even see like all these crypto games. They're not even open source. Like it's not that
No,
even.
they're not. A majority of them aren't. And they're supposed, and they always like screaming like decentralization when the actual core source code isn't even open at all for anyone to look into. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a problem. But I mean, to be honest, there are ways I could do to so the engine, I can export to the browser, but I need to use their language, the language from the engine, which is called like GD script, which is not used anywhere else, right? So again, I don't want to change my whole code base to this language just so 6 months later they manage to able for me to use C#, which is the same language that I use on the server, right? So I can kind of have like this shared library. So anyway, there are ways around it, but I think the best solution is just wait for now. But yeah.
And anyone who is listening and wondering about this, the white paper, the links, they will be down below in the blog section of the post, so you can click on them and check them out.
It's so wild what we see. We see like one front, and then there's like GB who's like dealing with all these like other dilemmas that are just like beyond most of our heads. It's like, oh, it's like, man, okay. I see. I partially see the issue, like partially.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. This is your show.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel. I mean, it's almost alone, right? Because I'm saying like. You see, I'm, in my mind, it's so clear. Like again, like the game should be decentralized, should be open source, all this kind of stuff. I was like, there's no one doing that. Like really, like, so I'm like, okay, like, and that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, I want to be doing this like more and more in the open, like getting people involved on not only to play, but if they want to get on board inside the project. But yeah, but to be honest, I don't think just talking is gonna do the cut, and that's my point. I just want to like show, like it's almost like, man, it would be so great. Like here's the link, go play on the website, and yeah, and if all of that I'm saying is true, like again, if it is truly like bot proof, if it is open source and people can fork it, if the economy is sustainable. No one needs to trust me. Like they can just go and play, and it's working, right?
And try to break it, and even
try to
improve
break
upon
it.
it. Improve upon it too, since the like you said, the code is all there for anyone to look through, to add to build something even different from what your idea of the game is, because that's open source, and that makes a game live forever, pretty much. For some games anyway, they're eternal.
Yeah, there is one concept that I really like in Monero, which is a privacy coin. They even have a kind of like it's not like a show, but like they have like some videos called like Breaking Monero, and they have, I think it's like FUD Saturday, whatever. It's almost like, sure, come, like bring everything you got, right? Like it's very different than a lot of these projects that if you say anything, like you can be like super polite, but if you bring like any reasonable concern, they're gonna say, "Are you spreading FUD?" and get banned. Like it's completely different mindset.
Yeah. They want you to try to get. They want you to try and prove your FUD. To do something that breaks the protocols or something along those lines, right? That they want to be proven wrong.
Yeah. But I think Splinterlands does that well. Like I think they are very receptive to any criticism.
Yeah.
Normally they just ask like at least be polite, right? But even if you're like an asshole, they're still not gonna ban you. But like they might not just answer you or take you serious. But like but they're very open to their feedback.
The mods are pretty resilient. I've seen. I've seen it. We've all seen it.
And with Monero as well, you've got that next level involvement. Like there's like the term Matt likes to use, the no coiners. So you got your no coiners, and then you got your crypto. But then Monero is like the next level. It's another level of in the know type thing. And with the mainstream attention, you're watching some FBI movie or TV show, and you go, "Oh no, the criminals, they moved all their money into Bitcoin, and now we'll never find it." It's like, what? Come on! You're like, this is made for the normies. It's so transparent. But with the Monero, like, and with the shell accounts transferring backwards and forth, you can literally do your money just disappears. So there's that whole level. And what was the name of the guy that started up Pirate Coin? I can't remember. He back in the beginning of the day when it went to like 600x or something. What was his name?
They
Uh,
still do monthly updates.
They do?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they do monthly updates on YouTube.
Pirate Chain.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
their wallet was so confusing, and like for me, who doesn't have a whole lot of expertise, every time there was a wallet update, it reached a point it was so hard and so confusing that I just sold all my Pirate Chain for something else. But I was spewing. I was holding quite a lot when it went from like 2 cents to $6 or something. But I was waiting for it to keep going, but of course it didn't, and it went down again real quick.
Yeah, they're still doing updates. Last was 3 days ago, March update.
Okay, all right. Are you familiar
Just
with
on
Pirate Chain
Monero.
or?
So just on Monero, Edicted, who's a great voice on Hive, really switched on. He mentioned a DEX that's being built now, Serai.
Yeah,
Sarai.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's apparently will be a bridge between, I think, Thorchain, Maya, Sarai. I only skimmed it and I'd had a few drinks, but he's essentially saying it'll be a really good on and off ramp for Monero when others are shut down. So that's worth having a look at. It's clear you're across it already.
Yeah, there's all these atomic swaps, which is kind of like the way to go, right? Because then you can have cross chain, but you're still like holding your keys, and then you can do everything.
Cool.
But to be honest, it's not even that easy, and the user experience is not that great.
Yeah.
But if there is a service, for example, called StealthX, which is you can basically change any coin to any coin, and it's super convenient. But then you trusting them, like you're losing you're not holding your keys. But yeah, if anyone's like, especially going to Hive, like, oh, we need to go through this, like I don't know, 5 hops to and going to like decentralized exchange that is asking what color of underwear I'm using. Okay, like just you can use like StealthX.
Like it's like Trade Ogre. Like you send your money and then they do the swap for you, and then yeah.
Yeah. And those sort of exchanges like Trade Ogre, now you can't put fiat in. You need to have the crypto
No.
originally.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
is good decentralization. And on
It
that
is.
note, we are out of time. Thanks for joining us on 118. Thanks for coming on, GB. And we will see you guys next week on 119. I'm Bob Fett. Peace out.